So as traditional commodity markets such as gold, oil, and even wheat now continue to outperform our crypto portfolios, you may be wondering whether you should sell everything and ape into these markets. But I think it's a little bit more complicated than that. And that's why in this video, I want to discuss both crypto and NFTs and discuss whether both are going into bear markets and what I am doing about it. So I'm going to be sharing my strategy for both crypto and NFTs. Now, before I get into it, if you're not following me on Twitter, you can follow me at Darren the Degen. You can see the big pink banner at the top to ensure it's me. And remember, just as on Twitter, this video is not financial advice. So let's start with daily volume on OpenSea, as this is always a very good indicator of the overall health of the NFT space. And you can see since my past video a few weeks ago, we have been in a steady decline since the peak there on the 1st of February. So February was actually quite a bearish month overall, as we've just been in a constant decline. Now the volume levels we're seeing at the moment, this is kind of what we saw back in, it was around October, November, December time. And that was almost a mini bear market in the NFT space. So that is kind of what we're seeing at the moment. We're seeing a lot of new projects really struggle to get any traction, and we're seeing floor prices down across the board in a lot of the bigger projects as well. So certainly things in the NFT space have slowed down an awful lot. So if I take you over to OpenSea, and if we look at the volume over the last 30 days, we can see for the top projects such as Bored Ape Yacht Club, CryptoPunks, Azuki, etc., you can see that volume is down quite substantially, and this is what we're seeing across the board in the NFT space, and that is reflected in the OpenSea charts that I just showed you. So what I'm going to do next is show you some individual projects and the knock-on effect that this reduction in volume has had on some of these projects that have launched in the past week or two. So up first, we're going to take a look at Antonym. Now this was quite a hyped, I say quite, is a very, very hyped project, and if we go to the summary here, we can see how this has performed. So since it first started selling, let's actually go back as far as we can. I believe we already are. The 2nd of March had an initial spike, but then on a decline ever since. So I think this would have probably been the pre-sale and then the public release, because you can see the volume bars at the bottom. And since then, it's been going sideways. It started to recover a bit, but we're in a steady decline at the moment. So one of the most hyped and biggest projects in March, or at the start of March, currently has a floor price of 0.55 Ethereum. So when you see hyped projects like that struggling to get any traction, it's always an indicator that things aren't so good in this sector at the moment. Now I'm just going to look at a couple more of these projects. These are ones which you may have seen influencers, I'm going to be honest, they've been shilling them over the past few weeks. So you'll see these on their YouTube videos or on Twitter, and they're running giveaways for whitelists, all in exchange for them getting whitelists themselves or whitelists for the community that they give to their paid alpha groups, as they like to call them. So the first one is Cartoons NFTs. This one I actually quite like the artwork for, as it's a bit different. But if we go to the summary tab and we go back as far as we can see that this launched again. So this was the pre-sale, a little spike there in decline. This bit here would have been the public sale, so you've got the volume bars there. And then we had reveal. So you had the spikes up to the tops for the most rare ones. Then the floor price started to drop, and we've been going sideways pretty much ever since. So floor price at the moment is currently, if we go back to the other tab, floor price is 0.064. So either very cheap or on its way to zero. Another one, a more recent launch, was Clay Friends, another one that we saw being shilled a lot on YouTube and Twitter with giveaways. Let's take a look at the summary here. Go back over 30 days, although I don't think we need to do that for this one. This one only launched a few days ago. And you can see here we had the pre-sale, and then we've had the release here. I think the public sale would have been in the middle where this volume is. And you can see this has been heading down as well. So we're down to about 0.2 in terms of active sales. But if you look at these dots, these are quite spread out. There is very, very little activity for such a new project. It's a worrying sign for both the project and for the market overall. And the floor price is currently 0.2. And you think only a few days ago, we were at 0.4, 0.3, and it's been heading down ever since. And just to kind of re-emphasize the fact that we are probably at the start of a possibly prolonged bear market for NFTs. When I say prolonged, no one knows how long this could be. This could be for 1 week, 2 weeks, it could be a month, 2 months. We just don't know. But it's certainly an indicator that it is difficult to make money in this space at the moment, as a lot of projects aren't going above mint price, and if they do, they're very few and far between. And a great example of this is Feline Fiends. This launched yesterday or the day before. Let's just go on here. We can see, just a couple of days ago it launched, and then we saw this huge spike here. Now, the reason I want to cover this one is this had a huge spike is because Gary Vee responded to one of their posts on Twitter, and then when Gary Vee responds, you always get a huge flood of volume, which is what we saw here. So the price did shoot up, and to be honest, I did think about jumping in here on the first pullback, and that's normally how I trade this. I'll jump in on the first pullback because then you'll get an idea of what the kind of ceiling price was. But I thought I'm going to hold out of this market just because things are so poor at the moment. And if I had bought in at 0.1, we might have got back to 0.15. But when you take into account OpenSea fees, royalties, and the gas I would have paid, there probably wouldn't have been much in that trade at all, if anything. So I didn't get into that. And since then, the activity has been starting to dwindle after that kind of the initial reaction from the tweet. And the floor price now is starting to drop. And let's go back to the other tab, and we can see that the floor price is at 0.007, and to be honest, I'm not really expecting this to recover. If it only pumped because of a Gary Vee tweet, then you're going to be questioning roadmap and utility. Is that if they were good enough, then maybe it wouldn't have needed that pump in the first place. But certainly those few projects are just an example of how things are going in the NFT space. Now, what am I doing at the moment? Well, I'm not holding any NFTs of value. As you can see, I have an absolute shocking collection of worthless NFTs that are basically too worthless to try and sell. So I've sold all of my valuable NFTs, and I'm keeping my ETH on the sideline. Now, I'm still watching the markets every day, looking for projects to get in and out of, but I'm certainly not holding anything long-term at this moment. Now, you will hear a lot of other influencers telling people to buy into blue chip projects, and that's fine. As we've already seen on the top NFT floors, the floor prices are well down, and that's why invested in these blue chips at the moment might be a reasonable idea. But you've got to understand that probably over 90% of people following the people giving that advice don't have in excess of $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 to drop on individual JPEGs. So I don't think telling people to buy blue chips is the most helpful advice at the moment, as most of us don't have the capacity to do that and to buy into blue chips. So overall, I'm keeping my money on the sideline for now. I'm going to keep watching the space on a daily basis. I'll be keeping an eye on these bars. This is on June.xyz, and waiting for some sort of recovery to see the volume starting to increase. And I also will be looking for opportunities to get in and out of trades on a daily basis. But certainly I won't be holding anything long term. So that's my view on the NFT market. So on to the crypto market. Let's start with Bitcoin. Now, only a week ago, when we saw this huge green candle, probably the largest daily movement upwards we've seen in the past year, I would say, everyone was starting to get quite bullish. But the kind of things haven't played out as people had hoped after that. We expected some consolidation, and then we were hoping we would finally bust through this 45,000 resistance here. But that hasn't happened. We've dipped again, and now we're waiting to find out whether we're going to hold this upward trend that we've kind of starting to establish here, or if we're going to go lower again and sweep the floors at 30. And if we do, that could be an early sign that we could be heading lower. So my personal strategy with Bitcoin and all other altcoins at the moment is exactly the same as it's been pretty much since things started to pull back here. Now, I started to get into this space around about August last year. Actually, I would say May last year was when I first got in. This is when I started to build my mining rig and started doing lots of research into cryptocurrencies. And then things started to pick up, and that's when I started to buy my first few coins or cryptocurrencies. And things were going well, and I was loading up all the way up on this incline here. So I was investing more and more as we went up. And I'm sure, like many of you guys, with all the hype that was going on last year, we weren't expecting to top out at what we topped out there, 69k. Many of us were hoping for at least 100k as part of a blow-off top, and that never came. So I'm sure, like many of the people watching this video that got in around the same sort of time as I did last summer, probably held their bags all the way to the top and have now holding them all the way back down to the bottom as well. Now, one thing I always talk about with crypto is only invest in money that you can 100% afford to lose. So my strategy at the moment with this is just to hold, because I am confident long term we will continue in an upwards trend. But it may be a painful few months or even a painful year or two. We're yet to see where this is going to go. And with the global uncertainty in the world at the moment, no one truly knows where this is going to go, because Bitcoin has never been through this type of scenario before. Just like with the pandemic, no one was expecting Bitcoin to rip and take off just like all the altcoins when a huge amount of liquidity was injected into the markets by the governments effectively printing money. So things could get so bad globally that we might see global recessions again, which is very, very possible, especially if you go back to the commodities that I was talking about at the start of the video, such as wheat is up a huge amount, oil is up a huge amount, gold, okay, gold isn't a traditional commodity that's going to impact people on a daily basis, but certainly oil and wheat will. And if you take that into account with raging inflation, things don't look great for the global economies, plus obviously the war that is going on at the moment. So things could be so bad that they decide to turn back on the money printers. And last time round, that was actually super bullish for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. So at the moment, I wouldn't like to call which way this is going to go. My simple strategy is I'm just holding for the long term, because whatever happens in the next few months doesn't really matter, because I was never really planning on selling at 60k. I wasn't looking for a 2x on my portfolio. I'm holding this long term, hoping for 5, 10x's versus investing in something like gold, which if we go into gold, despite the fact it's having a nice pump at the moment, if we put this onto, let's put it onto a weekly view or maybe even a monthly view, just to really kind of drive home this point. A lot of people are getting excited about gold at the moment and banging the gold drum. But let's be honest, even if you were great at timing the bottom, and you timed the bottom here in 2015, and let's just measure this here from the bottom, you timed it and you got in perfectly here, and you've ridden it all the way up to the top, at the moment you would be up 88%. Now, if I was investing in crypto for that same period, the best part of 7 years from 2016 to 2023, I'm sure I would have made a lot more than 88%. So that's why I still have no interest in gold or oil or wheat, because I don't see these as sustainable pumps. And if anything, these things look like very much like blow off tops. So we may see these go higher in the coming days or weeks, but I can see them coming down just as quickly when things start to settle down, however long that will take. So overall, my view of the crypto market is I think Bitcoin is holding up surprisingly well when you consider there is a war going on, when you consider crazy high inflation, and you consider it's just survived a pandemic plus the variant at the end of 2021, which really helped drive things down as well. All of those things together, and Bitcoin is still sitting at $39,000 at the moment. So I think overall, I think that's quite bullish for Bitcoin considering what it's facing at the moment. And I think it may be a surprise package in all of this, and people start to see Bitcoin as potentially the inflation hedge that it was originally meant for, even if it isn't doing a very good job of that at the moment. And if we look at crypto as a whole is performing very similar to how the Bitcoin chart is. So this is the total amount of money in crypto at the moment. So we're down from 3 trillion. And if we just measure this, we're down from 3 trillion all the way down at the moment. We are down 43%. And I think Bitcoin overall, if we measure Bitcoin as well, is down from the all-time high there to there, around 43%. Now, total 2, excluding Bitcoin, let's just see how the alts are stacking up. We measure there to there. We're looking at 43% decline as well, although we are seeing Bitcoin dominance on the increase here. So Bitcoin dominance has increased a little bit from 39% to 43%. I know I say a little bit, it looks quite a lot on the chart, but if you put it into perspective, it's actually a very tiny move at the moment. So Bitcoin dominance is going up, and I would expect that to continue, because if we go down, people are going to move all of their alts and shitcoins into stronger coins such as Bitcoin. So if we go down, I think dominance goes up. And if we go up, I think Bitcoin will lead the way. So I think Bitcoin dominance is going to go up either way over the next couple of months. And then if we do go up, the rest will play catch up, probably when we get back towards this zone where we've seen a few peaks in the past. So I think Bitcoin dominance has a way to run at the moment. So overall, I think Bitcoin and crypto is looking reasonably healthy considering, despite the fact we're down over 40%. I think things don't look too bad when you consider the macroeconomic picture and the global events that are taking place at the moment. As for NFTs, we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. NFTs are too new to try and even have a chance of predicting. Whereas at least with Bitcoin, we have a little bit of history in the charts to see how things perform around certain price points. And we know that at the moment, this is potentially a good accumulation zone because that's what happened last summer. So that's not to say we might not go full bear from here, but the fact we're holding up in the face of all of these challenges, I think is slightly bullish. So I hope you guys have found that helpful. Like I said earlier in the video, if you want to see the NFTs and crypto that I'm jumping into or out of, make sure you follow me on Twitter at DarrenTheDegen. If you found this video useful, make sure you hit the like button. And if you want to see more from me, subscribe to the channel. And what I'm going to do now is pop up 2 videos covering both NFTs and cryptos. And I'd recommend you guys give those a watch.